All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Crew Show with one of my favorite videos of the year. It's the Super Sleeper NFL Draft video, and it's brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue you're going to find. Also brought to you by Marin Auto Glass, marinautoglass.com on the web. New York, or I should say, Underdog Fantasy. Check the link in the description. Use that promo code Krug, and they'll match you up to your first $100 at Underdog Fantasy. And we're also brought to you by Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're in Pacific Grove. Give Anthony Catania a call, 831-521-5264. And by the way, at Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles, the first Friday night, beginning in May from 6 to 9 p.m., going every first Friday of the month for May, June, July, August, and September. They're going to have a great little deal where they'll have free admission and food, and they'll be out in front of their store, and the customers can bring all sports cards, old and new, for buying and selling and trading. And the trade night will happen every first Friday during the summer months, May through September. And for more details, call Anthony Catania down there in Pacific Grove. All right, let's talk a little bit about my favorite video of the year, and that is the Super Sleeper NFL Draft video. Now, first of all, let's talk about sleepers for a second. I hear lots of people say, this guy's a sleeper. Mel Kiper and Field Yates just did a podcast the other day on sleepers, and they got guys going in the third round who are sleepers. Okay, that's not a sleeper. If you're going to be drafted in the first 5 rounds of the NFL draft, you're not a sleeper. To me, what defines a sleeper is somebody who has a draft grade from the 6th round on. So if you're a 6th round guy, a 7th round guy, or potentially an undrafted free agent, that to me constitutes a sleeper. If you're going in the first 5 rounds, you're not a sleeper. You're just a guy. You're just a guy. So, and I don't mean just a guy in that you're a jag or something like that. No, I'm just saying you're a guy in the draft. You're a legitimate prospect of note. 5th round picks could go in the 3rd round for a couple seconds on a 40 time or a workout number. So there's not a lot of difference in my mind between a 5th round pick and a 3rd round pick. So if you're going in the top 5 rounds or projected to go in the top 5 rounds, you are not a sleeper. So how did I do this year? I took the Beast, which is the Dane Brugler NFL Draft Guide, and in that draft guide, he ranks prospects and projects what rounds they're going in. If they're projected to go in the first 5 rounds or even, in that 5-6 range, they're not sleepers. The only way I view them as sleepers if they're projected to go in the 6th round, the 6th, 7th round, or undrafted free agents, or if they're not, of course, not on the board at all. All right, so let's go through the sleeper list. Get one little pull of water here, and then we'll get deep into it. All right, first guy on the list, and they're in no particular order, but I got 12 super sleepers for the upcoming draft. Here they are. The first one, Lee Kpogba, who we just had on the show, the linebacker from West Virginia. 6'1", 230, 4.6 speed. He can play the linebacker spot on the weak side. He can play the Mike linebacker. He can be a special teamer. This guy's a phenomenal player. He's a hitter. He's smart. He's focused. I think his ideal position in the NFL is the will linebacker. He started at Syracuse and then went to East Mississippi Junior College and then transferred from there to West Virginia. He is a hard hitter. He says he was inspired by Carl Joseph, the former Raider, who also was a hard hitter. But Lee Kpogba is a hard hitter. He led West Virginia with 97 tackles, 47 solo. He's from Ghana in West Africa. His mom is still living there. He's now graduated with his degree. He grew up in North Carolina, in Winston-Salem. And this kid's everything you want. He's smart. He's tough. He's determined. He's focused. He's fast. He's a modern-day NFL linebacker. He's going to make a huge impact on special teams. Big 12 honor roll. Really smart kid. You can watch the interview that I did with him on YouTube on the Krug Show channel. I was a huge fan of his, and then his agent contacted me, and we had him on the show. I'm not telling you check this guy out because we had him on the show. I liked him, and then they sought me out to come on the show, and now I like him even more. He's smart, he's tough, he's physical, he will hit you. This guy is a great, and believe me, this is an undrafted free agent. He's probably not going to get drafted. And very little chance that Lee Kpogba gets drafted. If he does, it's going to be in round 7. But I love this guy as a UFA, as an undrafted college free agent. And I think he would make the Niners. The instincts, the intelligence, the violence, it's all there. Lee Kpogba, number 1 in my deep draft sleepers. Number 2 on the list is Willie Drew, cornerback from Virginia State. This kid's story is great. He was one of 6 kids. He's 5'11", 191 pounds. This year he had a great year for Virginia State. 6 picks, 16 pass breakups, both career highs. He's an HBCU player, historic black college player. And he ran 4.46 he was one of the only, I think the only FCS player invited to the combine. He ran 4.46. He's a versatile guy. He can play corner. He can play nickel. He can play safety. He's tough. He's focused. He was well coached there at Virginia State by a couple of ex-NFL guys, and Vernon Dean and Reggie Barlow. He's field fast. So 4.46. I think he even plays faster than that. He's from a tiny town in Virginia, Smithfield, Virginia. This guy lays the wood in the run game, and he's a really good pass defender. Somebody's going to take Willie Drew on day 3 of the draft and wind up with an absolute steal. So I love Willie Drew. Tremendous cover corner. He's a developmental prospect, but what I really love is this guy will absolutely knock your block off. He will set the edge in the run game. In a lot of ways, he reminds me of Emmanuel Mosley in that regard. He is a big-time physical player at the line of scrimmage, and he can cover, and he's versatile. You can play him at the nickel. You can play him at safety if you want. You can play him at corner. This might be the free safety that the 49ers are looking for, long term. Even though he's listed as a corner here, this guy could wind up being a great free safety for the Niners for years to come. So number 2 on my super sleeper list, Willie Drew, Virginia State. All right, number 3 on the list, and this is a very deep running back class, and beauty's in the eye of the beholder. And there's a lot of people saying get Frank Gore Jr. and Frank's kid is a good player for sure. But Emani Bailey, the running back from TCU, is my favorite of the day 3 backs. He's a round 7 guy, projected to go in round 7, possibly an undrafted free agent. He's 5'7", which is tiny, but he's 206 pounds. Grew up in Denton, Texas. Then the family moved to Colorado to care for his grandfather who was having health problems. Then they moved back to Denton, Texas. He's cousins with the University of Texas tight end, Jatavion Sanders. I love Emani Bailey. Ran 4.57, but plays a whole lot faster. Started at Louisiana and transferred. This kid's got major burst. Major burst. He averaged over 100 yards per game rushing as a senior this year. He averaged 8.1 yards per carry throughout his college career. He's short. He's got quick feet. He's elusive. He's got crazy agility. One of 3 players with 70 forced missed tackles this year in all of college football. Sonny Dykes says that Bailey was TCU's best practice player, which is always good to hear. He averaged 21 touches per game this year. So even though he's 5'7", 206, this is no guy who can't handle the pounding. He can handle the hits. And if you look at his overall mileage, and you'd have to, these running backs are almost like cars. You got to check the mileage. He's got very low mileage. He's not been ridden hard as far as his college career. So I love Emani Bailey. I think he's going to be a 7th round pick or maybe undrafted. He is the kind of electric back that I would love to see the 49ers grab and bring into camp. All right, he's number 3 on the deep sleeper list. Number 4, Mason Pline, tight end Furman. If you've been watching the Krueger show, I've been talking about this kid for a month. 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", in that range, 254 pounds. He's not going to be drafted. He's going to be an undrafted free agent. He played 3 years of hoops at Ferris State. He graduated with a degree in mechanical engineering. That right there tells you he's very, very smart. He's got 10 and a quarter inch hands, which are huge. He ran 4.79, which is not the fastest time, but it's not the slowest either. He was a standout baseball and basketball player at Ferris State, transferred to Furman in 2023, and then immediately led the team in receptions and touchdowns. The guy can sit in a soft spot in a zone. He's raw as a run blocker, I'll admit that, but he's athletic, he's got ball skills, and he's smart as hell. That makes him, in my mind, a very exciting prospect. Mason Pline. If you watch this guy's basketball film, he looks like, Ferris State's version of Aaron Gordon. This guy's rising above and jamming it. And now you take that athleticism, 10 and a quarter inch hands, some success in college, mechanical engineering major, multi-sport athlete. I'll develop this kid as a run blocker and use him as a receiver. I think he could be an absolute steal as an undrafted free agent or as a late round guy. Mason Pline, tight end, Furman. All right, he is sleeper number 4. Let's get to sleeper number 5. And now some people might debate this one, but Garrett Greenfield, the offensive tackle out of South Dakota State, is listed as a guy who's going to go, 6th round, 7th round. This is a great story. This kid's from South Dakota State, 6'5", 311 pounds, 10-inch hands, grew up in a football family in Northwest Iowa, lettered in baseball, football, and basketball in high school, was the team MVP in high school as a two-way player, played offensive line and defensive line. He was a no-star high school recruit. Nobody offered this guy. No FBS offers came his way. So he winds up going to South Dakota State. He played right tackle and then left tackle the last 2 years. So he's got 31 career starts at left tackle. He's got 24 career starts at right tackle. I think this guy's a perfect swing tackle for the 49ers. He played 6 seasons of college ball because of COVID. He graduated with his degree. He was an honor roll student. We're talking about a guy with 34 and an 1/8 inch arm, so he's got a massive wingspan. They're saying anywhere from round 6 to round 7. He could even go undrafted. What I like about him, he's got a mean streak. He was a 2-year team captain. He had a 38.5-inch vertical. That set the new combine record for all offensive linemen. This kid worked out in Indy and showed that he is a good enough athlete to play in the pros. He's a 4-year starter. He's got great lateral quickness. If you talk to his coaches, he's all football all the time. Now, he's going to go late because he's a 25-year-old rookie. But this is a really good football player who helped lead South Dakota State to back-to-back FCS national titles. He's a natural athlete. Really, really like this guy. To me, this is an ideal swing tackle prospect for the 49ers. I love his teammate, Mason McCormick. It's a good year for South Dakota State because Isaiah Davis, the running back from there, is a hell of a player too. But Garrett Greenfield might be the biggest steal of all three. Showed in Indy that he's a good enough athlete, and there's a ton to like. So Garrett Greenfield, South Dakota State offensive tackle, perfect swing tackle for the Niners. He is my super sleeper number 5. All right, super sleeper number 7 is a guy who I really love, Kalen DeLoach, linebacker from Florida State. He was the Mike linebacker at Florida State in their 4.25. This guy runs 4.47. He's a linebacker who runs 4.47. This is a sub-package monster. And the way the NFL's going, I think this guy could slip into the 5th round, but they say he's going to go 6th or 7th round. So that's why he's on my super sleeper list. They're saying round 7 to undrafted. He's 5'11", 210. He's a kid from Savannah, Georgia. His dad played pro hoops and spent 14 years in the Air Force, and then is kind of a life coach. And DeLoach is he's got his head screwed on straight. A bunch of Florida State players sat out the bowl game when they found out they weren't in the playoff. He didn't. He played. And the burst that he shows as a blitzer is awesome. I mean, this guy's burst is incredible. He's listed as 4.47, but he plays much faster than that. This is a dominating player in the sub package. He plays hurt. He can cover tight ends. He had 400 plus tackles in high school. He was a 4-star high school recruit, heavily recruited. Willie Taggart got him to come to FSU over Notre Dame and a couple other spots. And this is just one of my favorite players in the entire draft. He's athletic as hell. You can play him inside. I don't know if he's an every down linebacker unless you got a huge front that can protect him, but this guy knows how to play. He's going to make a huge impact on special teams. I think he's going to be an elite sub-package player, and I think this kid can make a Pro Bowl someday. I think he's that great of an athlete. I love me some Kalen DeLoach, and he is my super sleeper, number 7. All right, number 8 on the list is a guy who is going to be familiar to some people here in the Bay Area, and his name is Chigozie Anusiem. He's a cornerback who started at Cal and finished at Colorado State. They say he's going to go anywhere between round 7 to undrafted. He was at the Niners local pro day last week, and I saw him working out, and he looked fantastic. He's 6'1", 200 pounds, so he's got ideal size to play the corner. He's one of 5 kids. He's a Southern California kid. His parents were born in Nigeria and came to the U.S. in the 1980s. He started playing football at the age of 6. He went to Sonora High School in La Habra, which is here in California. And he was recruited to Cal by Justin Wilcox in 2018. So as I said, we saw him at the Niner local pro day. He looked good at the local pro day. He's graduated already from Cal with a degree, spent 4 years at Cal, and then was going to go to Hawaii and was committed to Hawaii. But then Todd Graham resigned in January of 2022. And so he quickly pivoted and went to Colorado State instead. But there's tons to like here. This kid's aggressive as hell at the line of scrimmage. He will jam you. And you're talking about a big kid who can run. 6'1", 200 pounds. He ran 4.39. He had a 37.5-inch vertical. He didn't have a single PI penalty all of this year. He's physical as hell against the run. The downside is he's only had 1 career interception. So the ball skills could be improved for sure. But he's a hell of a player. Played in the cover 3 at, Colorado State plays a heavy cover 3 scheme. And he looked really good in the cover 3 under Freddie Banks, the DC there. But this guy is a classic press man corner, and he can get up on the line of scrimmage and reroute you. I'm a big, big fan of Chigozie Anusiem from Colorado State, the former Cal Bear. When you're this big, this fast, this smart, you can play press man, and you've succeeded in the cover 3 in a zone scheme there at Colorado State. 37.5-inch vertical tells me he's got lower body explosion. I loved his film. His highlight reel is fantastic. So there you go. Pick number 8, Chigozie Anusiem, cornerback, Colorado State. Sleeper, deep sleeper, number 8. All right, deep sleeper number 9, played at Notre Dame, if you can believe it. And he's a player whose dad played in the NFL. It's amazing he's a sleeper. Howard Cross III, the defensive tackle from Notre Dame, is a terrific prospect. He's a New Jersey kid. You know, you say Notre Dame right there, it tells you he's smart. He's a twin. He's got a twin sister. He's an undersized defensive tackle. He's 6'1", 285. But he's super quick off the snap. His dad, Howard Cross, of course, you know that name. He played 13 years in the NFL for the New York Giants and was a good player in his own right. I got to think the Giants will draft this kid on day 3. But what I love about him is smart, tough, physical, focused. He was a state champion high school wrestler, which is something that I always love. 6'1", 285, probably could put on another 10 and be about 295. The motor, he's not an every down guy. This is a rotational defensive lineman, but a damn good one at that. And Howard Cross could play for me any day. If you watch the way the Niners love to do a lot of twists and stunts, you got to have some guys who understand, timing and have motor and have smarts, and Howard Cross has it all. And he's probably not going to be drafted. I mean, Dane Brugler didn't even have him on any round he didn't have him on any list. I mean, I just stumbled across this guy watching Notre Dame film. Howard Cross the third is just, he's a beast. And I love the intangibles. I love the focus. I love the intelligence. And I love that wrestling background. And if you could see this guy off the snap, he's quick as hell. He gets his hands on you before you get your hands on him. And he's just a really smart, dedicated football player. So he's a little undersized. He's not going to walk through the door and make you go, whoa, wow, look at that guy. You're going to see him at camp and be like, really, that guy? But 6'1", 285 with a motor and with leverage and with smarts and quickness, and there's just a lot to like there. Howard Cross the third is super sleeper number 9, I believe, number 9. All right, number 10, super sleeper number 10 is David White, the junior wide receiver from the Western Carolina Catamounts. And this kid is 6'4", 200 pounds. This year he had 34 receptions, 519 yards, 6 touchdowns. What I love about him is that if you watched any of the All-Star games, he played in a couple of them. He's an excellent route runner. He's raw. I mean, this is a raw player, but this is an excellent route runner who was leaving people in his wake in the practices leading up to, I think, the Hula and the Shrine. Big receiver, small school, going to take some time to develop. But, man, I think there's something special there in David White. Great athlete, big size. Usually small school guys are bad route runners, and they need route running refinement. This guy doesn't. This guy's got great route running ability. Now, he needs to be quicker into his breaks, quicker out of his breaks. You can see how he's going to struggle. He's probably going to have to play on the practice squad for a year. But, man, if some coach invests the time in David White Jr. and coaches him up, I think this is a phenomenal player, and he is my super sleeper number 10. All right, so that gets us to the final 2 guys. I've got 12 super sleepers here. These last 2 I'm incredibly excited about. Super sleeper number 11 is another guy. He's not in the Dane Brugler draft guide. He's not in any of the draft guides that I have. Nobody that I've seen has said anything about him. I stumbled on this kid watching an SMU game last year. His name is Elijah Chatman, and he's a defensive lineman for SMU. He wore number 40. Now, he's anywhere between 5'11" to 6 feet, about 280, 285 pounds. He's a little maxed out at that size, but this guy wins at the point of attack all day, every day. He's from Shreveport, Louisiana. He had 5.5 sacks this year. Great instincts. I mean, I love this athlete. This guy, I want this guy as a backup fullback. I want this guy as a sub package guy. I mean, this guy comes and plays all day. He made the Bruce Feldman freaks list. He is super strong. I mean, this is one of the strongest guys in all of college football. He benches 495. He had 42 reps at 225. He back squats 615. He power cleans 335. Then you mix in the fact that he can locate the ball quickly. He's got a crazy motor. He plays the game on his feet. He's excellent in backside pursuit. He's a one-gap penetrator. Man, I love Elijah Chatman. And, I realize he may not be an NFL starting defensive tackle. He's more of you got to play him in a rotation. You will not regret drafting this guy or signing this guy as an undrafted free agent. This guy, you could have him drop 10 pounds and have him be a fullback. I mean, he is an awesome athlete. One of the best athletes I've seen in this draft on the defensive line. He moves. The motor is crazy. The strength comes across. Some guys have workout numbers and they're benching the whole gym, but you don't see it on film. You see this guy's strength on film. Some guys, he's this or that, but this guy's got a motor. And then he locates the ball so quickly that he knifes into the backfield. He's always on his feet. I love this guy. In backside pursuit, he's amazing. As I said, he's short. If this guy were 6'4", 300 instead of 6 feet, 285, he'd go in the third round. I mean, this guy's really a beast. But at 6 feet, 280, he's shorter than NFL scouts like. He's lighter than NFL scouts like. But you can't ignore the athlete that this kid is. And believe me, I'm not the only one on him. There's a bunch of teams that are, beyond under the surface are looking at this guy. Elijah Chatman. Remember that name. Super sleeper, number 11. I don't know what round he's going in. My guess is the 6th, 7th, or undrafted, but I want that guy in Niner camp badly. And if I'm John Lynch, I figure out a way. This guy could be your backup to Juice. He could be a rotational defensive tackle. Heck, you can make him lose 20 or 30 pounds and see if he could play, Mike linebacker. I mean, this guy is fun to watch, and the strength is unbelievable, and the motor's crazy. So, flip on SMU and look for number 40. You'll be pleasantly surprised to watch Elijah Chatman. All right, super sleeper number 12. We've gotten to the end of the list, and this kid, I'm late to the party on, granted, but I love this prospect, and it's the quarterback, Austin Reed from Western Kentucky, 2-year starter for the Hilltoppers. This was Malachi Corley's roommate and quarterback at Western Kentucky. And, guys, I got to tell you, I'm getting some Brock Purdy vibes off this guy. I really am. This guy played football in high school. He also played lacrosse. He's 6'2", 6'1", 6'2", about 220 pounds. That sounds like Brock Purdy to me. 9 7/8 inch hands. Those are big hands. That's almost 10-inch hands. Fiery leader, quick processor at the line of scrimmage. Played for St. Augustine High School in Florida. Had a 4.4 GPA. 4.4 GPA. So he's 6'2", 220, fiery leader, quick processor, and smart as hell. Who does that sound like? Sounds a lot like Brock Purdy. He was a no-star high school recruit. He runs 4.82 in the 40. He started for the Salukis at Southern Illinois. They gave him a scholarship, but then he transferred to Division II West Florida. And then what did he do at West Florida? He led them to the Division II National Championship. Then he transfers to Western Kentucky in 2022 to replace Bailey Zappi, and he played great for the Hilltoppers. He's already got his bachelor's degree at West Florida, so he's already a graduate player, he's already had his degree before he even got to college. He's a great competitor. They say this kid watches film all day long. So he's just an absolute film junkie. Who does that sound like? Sounds a lot to me like Brock Purdy. Great competitor, watches film all day, led Division II West Florida to a national championship. Why is he going to be a day 3 guy? Well, he doesn't have the biggest arm. He may not even have quite the arm that Brock has, though I think he does. He's also older, since he's gone to, school for so long. He's going to be a 24-year-old rookie. This guy, and he hasn't played a high level of competition at Western Kentucky. He only faced 2 Power 5 defenses his entire college career. So he hasn't done it. He was a 2-year starter at Western Kentucky. But he was productive as hell there. But he hasn't necessarily done it against Power 5 defenses. He's a little bit older. He doesn't have the biggest arm, but what he does have is amazing, which is, this is very much a player in the Brock Purdy mold, leader, tough guy, processor, big hands, smart as hell, film junkie, competitive as hell. This is the guy that I want. Austin Reed, quarterback, Western Kentucky, 2-year starter. He is super sleeper, number 12. So there you go. 12 super sleepers. I believe in all of them. Some of these guys I stumbled upon early. Some of these guys I've stumbled upon late. I've watched all of them as far as I haven't just watched highlight reels. I've watched game films of all 12 of these guys. There were 6 or 7 other guys that I thought could have made this list, but I wanted to keep it to 12. And these are the 12 best. So just to recap, Austin Reed, quarterback, Western Kentucky. Tremendous. Elijah Chatman, defensive lineman, SMU. Kalen DeLoach, linebacker, Florida State. Howard Cross, defensive tackle, Notre Dame. David White, Jr., wide receiver, Western Carolina Catamounts. Chigozie Anusiem, cornerback, Colorado State. Garrett Greenfield, offensive tackle, South Dakota State. Mason Pline, tight end, Furman. And then to finish it up, Emani Bailey, running back, TCU. Willie Drew, cornerback, safety, nickel, Virginia State. And Lee Kpogba, linebacker, West Virginia. Hope you enjoyed the Super Sleeper video. It's a labor of love. I do it every year. I hope you enjoyed this one. I don't know a lot, but I know these guys can all play. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of The Krueg Show. Thanks to all of you guys for supporting The Krueg Show on YouTube.